Welcome, welcome, welcome to my go-to shoe, Faith, Hope, and Love, a journey through loss, live on strengthened soul. So, of course, I always tell you before we get started, like, subscribe, and share. Touch the notification button so you know when Pauline's coming back. Anyway, tonight is a very special night. I have a special guest. My friend, her name is Gardenia Moore. I've known her for quite a few years. I guess maybe at least 5 years we've known each other. But Gardenia has a very special story to share. And of course, I want to share with you all. March was International Women's History Month. And I had a few women on in March. But since now we're in April, I really would just like to celebrate women because they're doing some real monumental things out there. So I'm going to continue to ask some of these women to come on. And when we get to June, we won't have women anymore. But April, May, we probably have some women throughout this time because that is that kind of women's, I don't want to call it Women's Month or Women's History or whatever you want to call it. We're going to celebrate women. Anyway, let me just share. I have a bio here of Gardenia, and she's an author. So I'd like to share her bio with you. It's quite special. Gardenia Moore was born and raised in Queens, New York. She is a graduate of Bethel Bible Institute with a major in evangelism. She's ministered in prisons and nursing homes, and as a youth coordinator and mentor, Gardenia has had the pleasure to organize retreats and seminars. Her love for young people is to motivate them to become well-balanced, mature individuals for the Lord. She graduated from York College with a BS in community health education, and she has a master's degree from Long Island University in public administration. She's a former health educator and former guidance counselor. Before I read that, I was reading her book, one of her books, and I really liked what she wrote in this one book about who she is. And the Lord led her to move to, now she was born, I said, in Queens, New York, but the Lord led her to move to Georgia by divine appointment in 2005. In 2006, she was excited to join the team with Gwinnett County Elementary School, where she became concerned about the young people's social skills. In 2012, she started a mentoring program for fourth and fifth grade girls and still faithfully mentors the girls after retiring in 2017. Out of that group, she started another mentoring program for middle and high school girls. It has been her honor and pleasure to serve them. She believes it's not what you do in life that makes you great, it's what you inspire others to do that makes you great. Her desire is to inspire others to greatness. Her greatest accomplishment, though, is that she's a proud mother of 4 children, a grandmother of 8, and a great-grandmother of 6. And when I saw that she had 4 children, in the book, each one of her children writes a little special note to her. And I wanted to read one, but then I thought, well, if I read one, I need to read all 4. So I just wanted to share it with you. I'm just going to read this one because, I like humor, and he kind of has humor, this young man. This is her son number 2. This is the one I picked. Dear Mommy, dearest, I'm proud of your achievement. It's a great thing in life to complete a goal. I hope to do the same to make you proud. Thank you for being a consistent, God-loving mother who always told us about Jesus, whether we wanted to hear it or not. And then he writes, laugh out loud. And then he also says, I hope we all get a free copy. Laugh out loud. So I just wanted to read that because each one of her children say something very special. And I just thought that was monumental, actually, when your children speak about you yourself. So thank you. So on that note, Gardenia, you have a rich history. I mean, when I was reading that bio, and I didn't read it all, I just read little parts and little anecdotes from it, but you are really quite special. We met some years ago with a gentleman, Reverend Trainum, had introduced us. But before I even get started, you mentioned a minute ago that you're ordained, but I didn't see that in your bio. I want to make sure that I mentioned that. You're ordained as what's your ordination?
Minister, ordained.
Ordained minister.
Yeah. I think it was after that. That's probably what happened.
Okay, well, see,
you got the second book.
which you get. Gosh, I'm sorry, I'm dehydrated for some reason. I wanted to say also that she is a published author, and I wanted to share with you her first book, which is Communication from a committed heart. Communication from committed hearts. This is her first book that she did back in 2020. What year was this?
21.
2021. Communication from committed hearts. That was her first book, and then her second book, which I've had the opportunity to read part of this. I haven't read the whole thing. Reigning in Royalty. This is quite special. So, reigning in royalty, and in the right here, the portion of it says, "Discover your identity and and stand in your authority and straighten your crown." So for kings and queens, straighten your crowns, because she's coming to tell you the story of what you need to do to walk in your authority. And I thought that was quite special. So there's so many things that we could talk about tonight, but we're gonna because I said I may have to have you back just to talk about this book here. But both of those books are really quite special. So when you all get a chance, definitely get these books. And as a special thing that I'm going to do, Gardenia, I'm going to give three of these. The first three people that actually get back to me, I'm going to give three of these books to three people. So I have some. Okay, so let's get started, Gardenia. I wanted to ask you a few questions because you've had a rich history. You've raised children. You've been a mother. You've been a wife. You've done all the things, and you've done it well. You've done it well. But my first question to you is, if you could share with us your personal journey and how your personal journey has shaped you as an individual in yourself, in your family, and in your community. If you could just share, you can't share everything, but just share
Right.
a special story, a journey.
Well, first of all, I want to say since the first book, one of my children passed away, my oldest son. So now I have three children, but he's going on with the Lord, and the Lord, let me know he got him,
Right.
and it just proves that the prayer of the righteous avails. It
Oh,
matters of praying for your children no matter what. It was one of those cases. Um, as far as I'm concerned, I really have to give all the glory to God. I really do. My life, it amazes me because I didn't come from a religious background. Nobody in my family, I didn't know about heaven and hell and Jesus and all of that kind of stuff. I didn't know about that. But yet I realized that God always had his hand on me. And the thing about it was how God does order your footsteps.
mm,
At my husband, I was 14 years old. I was in the ninth grade, and he was 16 in the 11th grade. He was going to another school, and he came to pick up my girlfriend. Um, and when I saw him, it was this is well a long time ago, 1967. And I remember coming out of the school and looking down the steps, and he was standing down there, and it was just something about him. I could tell you to this day everything he had on or whatever, but it was just this wow feeling like, whoo, who's that?
mhm,
But God had our footsteps ordered because through getting together with him, his mother was a deliverance preacher.
mm,
And God knew that a couple of years down the road, I would need a preacher, but she couldn't just be an ordinary preacher. She had to have deliverance
mm,
because I needed deliverance. I had gotten young in high school, gotten involved with drugs, and the enemy's desire was to sift me as wheat, to really, really take me out of here. But God, that's the thing, but God. And so through this woman, meeting this young man, and getting with this woman is how I came to know about Jesus, that he
mm,
saves, delivers, and set free. And it was through that ministry that God began to do things in my life. He wind up that we got together, we got married, we went through our different changes. We were married like a year. And then, God is like, okay, it's time. So he went and got saved first. I didn't even know he was going to get saved. But
mm,
he went and got saved and then came back home and acting different. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? He said, I'm saved. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Well, I would have got saved if I knew about it. So anyway, all that week I had said, I want to get, I want this Jesus that they're talking about. And so
mm.
next week we went to a teen challenge meeting because his sister was a counselor at the teen challenge, which is a ministry for youth with drugs and things like that. So that night I wanted to go up, but I chickened out. I didn't go up to get saved. The next day we went to her church. And I'm telling you, when you know God is calling and pulling you, nobody has to prompt you to do anything.
Anything. Mm-mm.
Anything. Ain't nobody had to say, come on, let's go. Do you need to be saved? I was up to that altar so fast when that man finished.
Mm, mm, mm,
My
mm.
hands raised to Jesus in total surrender. I will never forget that. And as I repeated the sinner's prayer, I felt that weight jump off of me. Demons are real. I felt it. It was such a heavy weight from the sin. And I felt that thing jump off of me and I began to praise God. I'm telling you, it was a new lease on life. And
Wow.
that's what it's been for 53 years. I
53
never
years. Woo!
regretted it, never
Glory.
regretted it, never looked back, never wanted to go back. And God has done incredible things for me,
Mm, mm.
including those books.
So that time frame was that was November 11th, 1973, because I did see that.
Yes, that's when I got saved that day.
November 11th, 1973.
1973. Yes.
Wow. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. And so that helped you raise your children, of course.
Yes.
And like your
Yes.
son said, they heard about it probably when they didn't want to hear about
That's
it.
it. Heard about Jesus whether they wanted to or not. Even up to this day, still here. You hear? Get it together. I'm gonna say what Jesus said. So that's what they know, But then also, God did things in my life as a witness for them because I dropped out of high school because I was getting high and all that other kind of stuff, and God allowed me to go back and get my GED,
Mm,
go to
okay.
college and get my bachelor's, go to graduate school and get my master's. I mean, author. I would have never dreamed author. That was not. I would have never dreamed. And the first book took 23 years to come into fruition for a word that was spoken through a prophet 23 years before that about this book.
So, I'm going to step back just a moment and I want you to share with the people what a deliverance ministry is, because everybody knows about
Hmm.
ministry, knowing Jesus, but what's the difference between a deliverance ministry? I think that's going to be very important for people who are really going through, because some
Right.
folks need more, and they need
Yes.
to understand what that deliverance ministry is.
Yes. Well, being in the world, there are things that you struggle with, things that have you in bondage. And people don't really realize that. So I had to learn and I had to understand what was going on when it comes to drugs and alcohol and sex and so many different things. Those are demons that are on assignment. They're very real and they have the stronghold on you because you don't belong to the Lord. So you, as a deliverance preacher, you recognize those things. You understand what that is. Being that I went through that, so I understand somebody that's going through something like that, even getting saved. Because after you get saved, like it's okay, now I'm saved. But your body is going through certain things. So you've got to have prayer for that. Just like at one point I was on methadone when I got saved. And
Mm,
I got saved and I ran back to the clinic and I said, oh, I'm saved now. I'm not coming back here to this clinic no more. They was like, yeah, right. See you tomorrow. That's how much they believed in that. Let me tell
right,
you
right.
something. I never went back.
You never went back.
I never went back because at that time I had a praying mother-in-law, and she would pray and she would lay hands on me even to stop smoking. She would say, how many cigarettes did you smoke today? Because I weaned myself off. And she was like, I would say, oh well, I did this or I did. She said, okay, no judgment. Laid her hands and took authority over them, the spirits of
Mm,
bondage.
mm.
And then also I realized, being that I was taught what this was all about. If you don't know, you don't know. But I was
No.
taught. That's why I thank God for that atmosphere. I thank God for those people of strength. I got in the church, got in a word where you could hear the word and be taught the word and understand what is salvation all about. Because when I didn't come from that background. I didn't, what is this about? I
Right.
know, I know I need this Jesus you're talking about, but now what? So now I gave up. Now what? How do I live this life? And that's where it comes from for deliverance.
Mm, my.
Understanding. That's vital.
Mm. Awesome, awesome. So you said quite a bit in that little short moment, because you talked a lot about. 'Cause my next question I was gonna ask is, what is a significant challenge that you overcame? And I was there's probably a few that you overcame, but give
Yeah.
us one that was significant that really had an impact on you.
I'll say, besides the drug thing, we already know about that. But I had to overcome insecurity.
Mm.
I never, I didn't value myself. I always felt, even as a young girl, I always felt like there was a cloud over me. There was just this doom. I never felt attractive. I didn't feel special. I didn't feel any of those kind of things. And
Mm.
it took time for God to let me realize, and I'll say this, I've been down here in Georgia now for 21 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And my husband divorced me after 35 years of marriage. That was a blow. And then left me down here in Georgia. Okay. I'm alone for the first time in my life. I went from my mother's house to marriage. And then now this person, that's all that I knew, is gone. So now God has me down here in what I call a strange land.
So wait,
And
so you and your husband both moved to Georgia together?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, we did. We were apart, and he was in Florida, and then he decided, he want to get back together because things not working. So we came to Georgia together. You
Okay.
know, yeah, and the Lord used him to get me here because I would have never came. I was a procrastinator. I
Mhm.
would have came. So he got me down here, settled me, and then he was gone. I'm alone for the first time in my life. What do I know? I'm like a little child. But God used this time
Wow.
in these 21 years to mature me and take me into another realm in Him that I hadn't experienced before. So,
Mm.
through that is where I had to grow up. And I am 73, I'll be 74 in September. And I had to grow up and learn God in another way and learn I am more than enough. Learn who He made me. We say those scriptures, but sometimes do we believe it? And I had the hardest time believing it. And that's what has been accomplished. The major thing in my life of being accomplished is understanding who I am and whose I am. That's why that book, Reigning in Royalty, that's a part of that. Realizing who you are and walking in your royalty and your deity and keeping that crown straight. That's a
Mm.
part of that.
I said, I'm listening to you, and I really believe that young women need to hear from all of us because they need to know they can make it. They need to know that
Yes.
there's a lot going on, but there's been folks before you that have been through a lot of different things, have
Yes.
have had, have had to go through struggles and challenges. And to be honest, I only know one way you can get through it. That's Jesus.
That's it. That's it.
That's the only way you can get through it. And so it's really great to hear your story because everybody has a story,
Yes.
but people have to know that they can make it. And that's the whole point of
Yes.
my go-to shoe. Why do I say my go-to shoe? Because every one of us has a walk. Every one of us has a shoe, and every one of us is on this journey, going step by step. And
Yes.
so to hear your story is absolutely outstanding because other women out there need to know that they can still make it. They
Yes.
can make it, and
Yes.
that's what we have to do. We have to let them know that. But
Yes.
so thank you for that. So you've kind of said all this in one, actually. But is there an experience? I don't know. You've already mentioned it. Just when you got saved. But I was going to ask a spiritual experience that has provided your strength. You kind of answered that, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
I think
spiritual
so.
experiences, because it's been just when you got saved at such a young age. But
Yes.
when you went through that, like when you gave your life to Christ, because people will do that, they'll give their life to Christ, and then you don't see them anymore.
Right.
They come to church that Sunday, they gave their life to Christ, they had that
Right.
that pivotal moment that was just meant so much, and that. So what was it that you were able to really glean from that made you continue to want to go to church day in and day out and really serve God?
It was my the people that were around me. It was major being in a church where people cared about you. If I needed prayer, I could get prayer. People understanding what I'm going through. Getting the word, like they say, get the word. The word is very important because it's telling you what Jesus is all about. It's telling you the power that you have in Him. It's the encouragement. That's really what did it. Because if not, God never takes you from something unless He's taking you to something. So
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
He's not gonna take me from that. And now, okay, I'm saved. Now what? I'm used to doing certain things when I wasn't saved. So now what do I do, including getting high? So what do I do now in place of getting high? Because honestly, anybody that gets high is not going to tell you that it was a bad feeling. Honestly. So
No, they're going to say it was good. That's true. Yeah,
exactly.
that's
What
true.
what made me want to go into that? Because it takes you into a false realm. And so that's why people stay high, to stay there. Because when you come
Hmm.
out, then you're in reality and you don't like what you see or what you're feeling. That's where God came in. That's where the Holy Ghost came in. Because now that feeling of euphoria that you get, I get it from the Holy Ghost. Him
Mm,
ministering,
mm,
him speaking, him illuminating. That's the high that I get from the Holy Ghost. That's the difference. That's the
mm.
difference. Because it's not about what you can't do. You can't do this, you can't do that. You don't want to do it. He takes away the desire, and that's what I love about him. He takes away the desire of things, and you don't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to get high.
And see, and did you find yourself when you prayed after that? Did you find yourself saying, "Well, Lord, um, grant me the desires of my heart," but your desire was different than your desires had changed? Would you say
Yeah, it definitely changed. It
your
definitely changed. The
desires
way I
changed? You
felt
didn't have the
changed.
same desires you had. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the way I felt changed. So my
Mm.
desires changed. I didn't. I like this feeling that I felt when I gave my heart to the Lord. The freedom. I like that. I didn't like, because drugs are bondage. They're bondage. You have to go to them. They call to you. Freedom is not like that. So that's what the chains and the bonds of um of evil were broken and destroyed. That's
Mm.
what it was. So I felt different, and then I wanted more. And then he proved himself to me so much of the things, like I said, that he allowed in my life that I would have never. To this
Mm.
day, I'm at awe of all of the things that he's done, traveling the world, all kinds of things. I would have never imagined. So even now at this point, I'm happy. I'm
See, and
happy.
you've got that peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yes, yes,
That
ma'am.
really is real. I mean, that is real. The peace that
Yes,
surpasses
ma'am.
all understanding.
Yes.
Do you have today when you're thinking about and you're praying, you say, we say, not my will, but your will be done. Can you say that with conviction and be okay with it? Because sometimes, you say, not my will, but your will. But sometimes you be like, well, really, I really want it this way.
Right.
Well, God, this is what I really need.
Yes, 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 yes. I've struggled with it. Yes, that's the truth.
Okay, because that's
I
still
had it.
sometimes a struggle. I think, right?
Huh?
I think that's a struggle sometimes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because sometimes as long as the will is your will, then you say, Lord, not my will, but yours be done. But let it be this part of the will, not that part. And that's what a lot of times he's calling for. No, I want this. He'd be like, ooh, mm, um,
And don't you think that's where obedience comes into
yeah,
play, and that obedience that comes into play is when we really. And I think we need to share this with young people because they need to have an understanding that it's going to be okay, but
yes,
you still have to be obedient to Him. And I
yes,
think sometimes we just don't want to do it His way, and then
yes,
after we do it our way, we end up going back. Okay, God, you did it right. Let me just get out the way.
yes,
And so I think they can learn from people like yourself
yes.
that there is a better way, and it's His way.
Yes.
Is
And
the way
it's a
to go.
process. Everything's not going to happen overnight. It takes time, but he's patient and
He's so
he's
patient.
loving. And, when you trip and fall and mess up, he's still there with loving arms like a parent would be to say,
Hmm.
hey, I still love you. I got you. All right, let's get back on track. Those are the things that I love about him. He's not judgmental like we are because,
Right,
hey,
right.
somebody don't do something right, we ready to cut you off,
Like that, bam, you're done. You're done.
That's it.
That's
I'm
true.
done with you.
That's
And
true.
he's not like that. So he's a loving God. So I always tell, young people that, serve him on your level because that's what he's calling for. It's just like, a lot of times people will say, well, when I get myself together, then I'm gonna go and get saved. And he's like, no, come as you are. I want that raggedy part of you. I
That's
want
right.
that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I want that messed up stuff. I want
Hmm.
that because I can prove to you who I am in that. And that's the good thing. And you start seeing yourself, getting better through
Getting better.
even through adversity, even
Even
through
through.
tragedy. Yeah.
My next question is, what inspirational figure or what woman or man who inspired you to, and what lessons have you learned from them?
My mentor is her name is Bishop Lydia Slowly. I
Bishop Lydia
Lydia Lydia
Slowly.
Slowly Sloley. She is a true woman of God.
Mm.
We were going to the same church in New York
Mm-hmm.
back in '92, and I would see her, but 88 I started going there. But we wasn't really friends or anything. And me and my husband was getting ready to do our 20-year anniversary over. And so I asked somebody, I don't know if they told me or whatever, that she does poetry.
Mm.
So I said, oh, I want to ask her to do something for the wedding. So I asked her and she said, sure, no problem. When she called me back and gave me the word, I had goosebumps. I was like,
Mm.
wow. So that word became the theme of the wedding.
Oh
We
wow.
recited it to each other. It was on the cake. All of this was not planned. All of that it did. And then 6 years later, I wasn't going to that church. And one night I was going to another church. We was on our way to church one night. And I saw a vision. And the vision was a book. And it was an umbrella. And it was ministry. It was book signings. It was TV. It was radio. It was a lot of little things under this quick umbrella. And it kind of blew me away. I never had a vision like that. And I didn't even say anything to anybody. My husband was driving. I didn't say a word to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The church that night, and when we got up to go give our offering, the pastor was standing there. And the pastor looked at me and he said, God said you need to write that book. I was blown away.
Mm. Mm.
Nobody knew about that, right? It took 20, and meanwhile, the name of the book was the word the sister had given me for that wedding, Communication from Committed Hearts.
Oh wow.
That's the book. That became a book.
So let's show
And
it
it
again.
took, yes, and it
Communication from
took,
committed hearts.
that's it. That was the word, and it's in there. Her poem is in there. That's how awesome God is. That's the word. That became a book, and it took 23 years to come into fruition. 23 years, because it were things that I had to come down here. I had to go through my isolation. I had to go through all of the things. And I used to ask people, about writing a book. I could talk, but writing a book is different. And I would ask people, and I would get so discouraged. I would just get pushed aside. People would, oh, just do it. And I said, God, why you keep putting this in my spirit? It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I had T-shirts made and banners and everything to try to keep the vision. Nothing. All of a sudden, one day, this is how God is. All of a sudden, one day, God said to me, "That's it. No more procrastination. Now, I want you to do it." And
Wow.
told me what to do. I
That's what
had
he does. That's what he does. That's
yes,
exactly how he works.
yes. Meanwhile, I had reconnected with her because I hadn't been connected with her and this prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Reconnected with her. God told me to use her because she had written some books. So use her publishers. He started giving specifics. Call them, find out what they're doing, all of this other.
Mm.
I just started doing it. After 23 years, I just
Wow.
started doing it. And then I told the publisher, I said, I need some help because I don't know how to do this. He said, you know what? I know somebody that's perfect to help you, right? He gave me this woman in Arkansas.
Oh wow.
God has used that young lady. She's the publisher. She's the editor on both of the books.
Oh. Mm. Mm.
There were times, and like I said, I've never met her. There were times when I would get discouraged, and she would pray for me. She was
Oh.
saved. She would pray for me, and that book came into fruition 23 years later.
Later.
And
Wow.
it was the footsteps of my life that's in that book. The
Mm.
footsteps of how God ordered it, meeting that boy and the journey and what God did. That's what that book is about.
So, Gardenia, there's a question. I want to ask you this question because there are women out there that have really gone through some things. And the one thing you did mention it that you were married 35 years. That's a long time.
Long
And
time.
that's a loss. And like I said, this is live on strength and soul. That's a really tough loss that I know women really struggle with. And for you
Yeah.
to share with us, after 35 years being left alone and being in isolation,
Yes.
what was the first thing you were able to do to come out of that? I don't know whether how you were feeling, but I don't know whether you were depressed or whatever what it is, but share how you really slowly but surely got out of that place.
I um I would have lost my mind if it wasn't for the Lord. I really know that.
Mm.
Or
Mm.
there could have been a incident of murder. I'm gonna be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you.
What? Yes.
Because it was devastating. That's all that I knew. And
Yeah.
it started when I was still living in New York. And then, like I said, we moved here and it just still wasn't. So now I'm in a strange place and he leaves me here and I'm
Mm.
going to Florida. I'm here by myself for the first time in my life. My children, everybody is gone. Because
Oh,
God is like, no, it's gonna be me and you now. And I'm
wow.
gonna do some things for you, with you and for you and through you. And that's what it was. I could not go back to New York like I would have, because I would have ran on back there. At least I got family and my children are there. And God said, not so. You stay here by yourself. And that's what God did. He began to build me up. He began to let me know who He is. He did miracles from my home to jobs, everything along the way. And I had to grow up, mature. And at that time, what, I'm probably in my 50s, 60s, somewhere like that.
Right.
And
Sure.
you know, so I give God all the glory that when you feel that there's nothing else, when you feel lost, because you're gonna feel these things, and you feel depressed, and you feel like I don't want to live anymore. What? That's when He comes in, and He's gentle, and He's kind, and He's loving. And now I can look back, and I can see what God has done. I can see the
Woo.
maturity. I'm alone. I'm alone, but I'm not lonely.
Hello.
I'm not lonely. He has filled my days. He has filled my days, even giving
Awesome.
me think other things to do, like mentor other people, do something for somebody else. He's did
Mm.
those things, and I'm a witness to that.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, because I know women do struggle with that all the time, and it's
Yes,
something that you have to get through. And I always say, hashtag keep it moving. You still got to keep moving forward. You can't stay
yes,
stuck because you got family to take care of because they're looking at you,
yes.
right? So, what is it? Share with us a pearl of wisdom for those people, for young people, a pearl of wisdom, just something special that you can share with young people or adults that you would consider a pearl of wisdom to share.
Pearl of wisdom. I would say trust the Lord. I really was give him a try. You done tried everything else. I would say give him a try.
Give him a try.
You won't be disappointed. This world makes it seem like, if you don't do the things of the world, something's wrong with you, especially young people. If you're not doing what they do, something's wrong with you. But God gives you a standard, that you don't have to follow the crowd. You can follow Him. Time is winding up as we can see what is going on. People are leaving here very
Mm.
quickly. I would say live every moment with joy, serving God every moment. Get the memories and do something for somebody else. That's another big, I think it's another big clue in your deliverance, in your healing, is not worrying about yourself, but as you start to do something for somebody else, and God will give it to you to do, that takes your focus and you begin to see and feel the joy of blessing other people. Like all of the things that I can talk about now, it hurt me even coming up as a young wife that I didn't have that mentor. I wanted it so bad and I needed help and I asked God and it didn't come and I was hurt over it. But now He allowed me to go
Mm.
through it that I could help somebody else.
Awesome, awesome. What other my well, before I get to my very last question, I know you have some young people that you are working with, that you've worked with since from high school that are ongoing to college. What is the program that you're putting together? If you could just briefly share with us what you're doing for those young people so they get to college.
Well, in 2012, I was working at a elementary school, and I would notice that these young people, they are so different from us. They have no social skills. They don't have no manners. They're wild. They're all over the place. And the Lord put in my heart to start a mentoring. So I went to the principal. So she was like, okay, well, It's on you. Go ahead. I'm like, God, okay, what do I do? I mean, I've always had a love for young people. I've been youth leader. They gravitate to me. I gravitate to them. It's always been that thing. But now, so I started it for fourth and fifth grade girls. This was in 2012, and the Lord just and that I mean the first year, and God will always you always know that God is in something because He gives you what you need to get it done.
He does. He
I'm telling you,
does.
that first year with those girls, it was tremendous. I had teachers that were mentors, and everybody was joining in, and we had a celebration at the end. And I had another mentor that she's still my mentor this day, and they came and at our little ceremony and sang and danced and all of the stuff that happened. By the next year, all the teachers, they quit because they were busy. So so there were times I was in it by myself.
Hmm.
But when God gives you a mandate and you know it's Him, you go.
You
I've
go.
been retired for 9 years and I still go.
Amen.
Mentor those
Oh,
girls every other week.
that
Now,
is
the girls
fabulous.
that, what I'm so excited about at the time that I've gotten it discouraged is that the girls that started with me, especially that first time, the girls have graduated. I have some that I still keep up with, have graduated from college. I have one of them that's in her second year law school.
Oh,
I have some that graduated from college and high school last year, and I have two that are graduating this year from college, and they were with me in the fourth and fifth grade. And
oh,
I'm so excited. Those are the things that get me going when I get discouraged. Because sometimes, young people, they're different from us. They don't
they are
keep up with
different.
you.
They
They
are.
don't. And so when I think of those things, it blesses me. And year before last, every year I always go to my mentor's big program because she got a big mentor program. And they give out scholarships and everything. And I said, Lord, that year, I said, Lord, next year, this time, I want to be able to give my girls some kind of money. Okay. So all year I was decreeing it. Lord, this year I'm gonna have the money. I'm gonna this, I'm gonna that. The year started going. Next thing I know, like, okay, I don't see any money. I'm not getting any help. So I wrote my second book. The Lord said, take that money and use it for the girls. So I said, okay. So I put it out there and asked, and some people gave, and some people bought books. And so I got the money together. Now on the day, I had 600. I wanted to give them $1,000, $500 a piece. So on that day, I only had $650, and I thought I had time, but I saw both girls on that day, so I gave one $500. The girl just wept. The next one, I'm going to her party, and I mean, there's hundreds of people there, and I only had $150. I had a card and a blank check. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just go here, put this 150 in there, and give it to this girl. She'll be fine. So the Lord had me to park. I went in the house, and the Lord said, "Don't do that." He said, "Don't shortchange her. Write $500 on that check and give it to this girl." And I'm like, "But Lord, I don't have it in there. I don't want things to start bouncing." I was really getting like, He said, "Do it." I said, "Okay." I gave it to the girl. She looked at it. She just booed. She started crying. I'm crying. And I was just telling her how much I love her and appreciate her. Let me tell you something. She cashed that check right away. Nothing bounced. Everything went through. That girl got her money. My bills were fine. Everything was fine. And the Lord said to me, I did what you asked, didn't I?
Mm,
I said, Lord,
mm.
you're right.
Oh,
Because I didn't
hallelujah.
complain. Yeah, I complained and complained, and I don't have this, and I don't have any help, and I don't you. And then, Lord, you made me get my 501c3. I didn't need that. I don't need. And he said, stop it. I got you. Stop it.
Mm.
And
I
that's
got.
where I am. That's where I am. So the time is coming, May, and I'm believing God for these two girls.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm. You know what? I just have. Thank you so much for sharing the story of your young people, and I'm going to give you a call after this because our HBJ Foundation is going to sow into your ministry for one of those students.
Amen.
Absolutely, we're going to sow into one of them babies.
Amen.
So we just bless God. But what I want, one last question. This is the end of our time together. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for this conversation. I really appreciate it. It's just been my pleasure and honor to just interview you with this. But just give me one word that describes Gardenia Moore. One word.
Blessed.
Blessed.
Blessed. It sounds cliche. It sounds
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because everybody's
That's the only
different.
word that I could say is blessed. I'm
Wow.
blessed.
So,
I'm humbled.
mm,
I'm so grateful. Excuse me, but I am so grateful.
mm. Well, you know what? I just want to thank you again for coming on and sharing your testimony with us and just and answering my questions and sharing so much of your own personal life because I know it's going to help someone else. And the whole
Yes,
point of living this life is that we are strengthened by God. So
yes,
that's the whole purpose of this.
yes.
So I just thank God for you. So
Amen.
everyone, I'm so glad that I had Gardenia Moore here to share with us about her life story, and I'm looking forward to sharing your life stories with others as well. So we just celebrate you today, Gardenia, and what
Yes,
you've done in your life for young people and for adults, for everyone. So thank you so
yes.
much. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. And on that note, we're going to say goodbye to everyone.
Bye.
And of course,
Thank
before I
you.
say that, like, subscribe, share. Touch the notification
Amen.
button so you know when Pauline's coming back. Okay?
All
Thank you
right.
so much, Gardenia.
God.
Love you, girl. Bye bye.